What's up, everybody? Welcome back to part 9 of my John Ferrick book review, Wrecking Crew Demolishing the Case Against Steven Avery. What we're doing is we're reading the book and we're going over what was going on at that particular time. At that particular time, the book was written. Of course, a lot of new evidence and things have come out since the book was written, but we are going over what was happening at the time and what was in the book. So this is part 9. You can get this book on Amazon. That's where I got my copy. I definitely recommend picking it up. It is a tremendous read. Now, on part 9, we're going to start off with one of the most suspicious pieces of evidence that was found that turned up in Steven Avery's case did not result when an independent team of highly trained forensic examiners from the Wisconsin State Crime Lab had their opportunity to inspect the RAV4. At that point, the RAV4 was kept within the confines of their indoor garage, away from outside interference. But the Calumet County Sheriff's Office wanted to regain control of the RAV4. They wanted the RAV4 back on their property as soon as possible. There is also no credible evidence that ever came up that Steven Avery threw away his box spring or his mattress, which, if you believe the story that Ken Kratz put out there of what happened to Teresa Halbach in Steven Avery's bedroom by Steven Avery and Brendan Dassey, that mattress would have been covered in Teresa Halbach's DNA, blood, sweat. It would have been covered in Brendan Dassey's DNA, but they never found anything. There was also no evidence that anything was ever shackled to Steven Avery's headboard. Now, if you remember, the story put out there was that Teresa Halbach was shackled to Steven Avery's headboard, and when they examined the headboard, there was no evidence that that was ever actually done. You know, because it was never actually done. Now, on April 3rd, 2006, they were sent back to Steven Avery's bedroom to try and collect more evidence. Of course, there was nothing found. There was no DNA found. So later that same day, after they had not found any DNA or any evidence that they could use against Steven Avery, they were sent to where the RAV4 was now being kept. Now, DNA evidence had become very important in the case. John Ferrick talks about how he thinks that allegedly Thomas Fassbender and Mark Weirgart put their heads together and remembered how there was an extra pair of unnecessary groin swabs which they weren't supposed to take from Steven Avery back on November 9th, 2005. Now remember, Mark Weirgart stated that he allegedly threw them in the garbage can. There, of course, is no evidence that actually happened. It is thought that he kept them in case they needed them. And, a situation has now arose where they do indeed need those groin swabs that were taken from Steven Avery. And now this is the time where they could, allegedly, of course, plant Steven Avery's DNA on the RAV4. So, and that's where I'm going to leave part 9. Just a little shorter video. A lot of information in there, though, with the DNA evidence. No evidence at all that anything was done to the headboard. No DNA evidence, of course, of Brendan Dassey found on the mattress or box spring. No evidence that Teresa Halbach was ever in Steven Avery's bedroom on that box spring, on that mattress, that she had been allegedly murdered in that room. If you listened to the story that Ken Kratz put out there of how Teresa Halbach was allegedly killed on that gruesome scene, there would have been blood, there would have been DNA, there would have been so much of everything left in Steven Avery's bedroom. But of course, there was absolutely nothing found because it did not happen the way Ken Kratz stated in his press conference that it happened. That was just a story, that was just a fairy tale that allegedly Ken Kratz made up. If he didn't make it up, where is the evidence that Teresa Halbach was killed in Steven Averys' bedroom? For all of the people out there that state that Steven Avery and Brendan Dassey are guilty, where is the evidence that this took place in Steven Averys' bedroom? Where is the DNA? You're trying to tell me that Steven Avery and Brendan Dassey have some Dexter-level cleanup skills, that if somebody was actually murdered as horrific as Ken Kratz stated they were, that they got every speck of everything out of Steven Averys' bedroom, but yet they allegedly found DNA, other places. Just absolutely crazy that people bought this story that Teresa Halbach was murdered in Steven Averys' bedroom. You cannot prove that she was ever actually there. I don't get it. I don't understand. I'll never understand. The other day was Brendan Dassey's 6-year anniversary of when he was originally supposed to be freed from prison. But of course, the state got a higher court to block that, and he still sits in prison to this day. Steven Avery, been in there since 2005, over 17 years, again for a crime he did not commit. Brendan Dassey in there over 16 years for a crime he did not commit. Absolutely insane. Absolutely bonkers. Let me know what you think. I'll be back once again with part 10 of John Ferrick's book, Wrecking Crew, Demolishing the Case Against Steven Avery. Pick it up. It's a tremendous read. I highly recommend it. Let me know what you think. Leave some comments below. I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you again soon.